I think you said you got to eat, right? Like you didn't say you got to make your money. You said you got to eat. So
Yeah.
how can we have
Yeah.
how can we have more how can we identify the needs that people have, right? Like we equate a lot. I need money so that I can eat. I need money for my shelter. I need money for my, health services. But what does it look like to reframe that to say I need to eat, I need health services, like I need shelter, and then recognize what else do you need? What else do we absolutely need? Music. What else do we absolutely need? Community. Even if as an individual, you need your alone time. Everybody does. Everybody needs their own space, and in different degrees. But people need people. So I think if we can shift our mindsets to really, truly focus on what we need, not what we think we need to then get to what we need, that can solve a lot of our issues.
It's in hut. What's up, man?
What's going on?
I'm gonna just pound you real quick.
Indeed,
I didn't
indeed.
even know you had that tattoo.
Yeah, bro, it's my baby.
So, man, thank you for coming out. Thank you for coming, for being here. You're actually like the first person that came to my mind, which is interesting for this because I've only met you like in person one other time.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, thanks for coming out. You can introduce yourself. I'll introduce myself. I'm Don, and we had Justus here with us having a conversation on some, life-altering activity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm Justus Cornelius Pugh, Justies,
Yep.
Chicagoan, Southside, artist, technologist.
So yeah, the first question is like music. So basically, to me, music, like I've been making music for a while. Like that's been the only thing I really wanted to do my whole life. And to me, it's frequency, vibration, energy, but most importantly, magic, witchcraft. You know what I mean?
Indeed,
Like,
indeed.
when people ask me from now on, like, I'm gonna just tell them I'm in the business of making like witchcraft, because when you listen to music and it makes you feel a certain way, there's a chemical reaction in your body. It changes your biology a little bit, So I think music is like is just as important as food, which is medicine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say, like, shit. What would you like? What's your take on some of your earliest experiences, or what you're experiencing with it now? How you feel about music?
Yeah, yo. I think music is the storytelling of the like intergenerational storytelling almost, right? Like I think that music crafts pictures of what once was and what can be, because it's all borrowed or repeated. Like you can hear a new sound or a new artist or a new vibe of music, but there's still references to their influences, or there's still a sample from something else that came before, or it's just always, it can be fresh and new, but it's always an homage to the past in some way. So I like that music kind of repeats itself. It's like a little archive of time.
Yeah, you can't really. Yeah, anything that you make, like nothing is original.
Yeah. Which is a beauty. Some people see that and it's like, nah, I am original. But I think it's a beauty in, like, literally. I think music does it the most, and I think a lot of art references it, but specifically music. It can't be original, but it can be like authentic. It can be still your voice, because we all are just an amalgamation of the ancestors that came before us, the experiences that we've had throughout our lives. So I think music does that very, very strongly. And when I think of like what is music, like at the highest level, I think of, one, it's what connects people. Like you can go to the far corner of the planet to a village that you know have never heard of, that nobody knows you, and they can bring out some drums and you can still vibe just along with them and learn and suddenly move. And I think that that's specific to Black people, or maybe, you know, Black and indigenous folks, people of color largely. We have a connection to music, a connection to rhythm,
dancing, all of that
dancing.
shit.
Like it's just like, I don't know, I feel like music just allows you to, that collective frequency, you know what I'm saying? You can hear it, and it's just, those differences dissolve. And I think that's the beautiful thing. It's our strongest connecting. It's our strongest connecting force.
Dancing is like a whole crazy thing, because I just started dancing again. I wasn't dancing for a long time. I mean, I would dance like at certain times, but I'm talking about like dancing outside openly in public. Like there's an emotional intelligence that is behind that. Like what you're communicating not only to other people but to yourself. You know what I mean? Like it's like freestyling. It's like when I freestyle, I think about dancing. Yeah. Like that is the same thing. It's a stream of a stream of thought, a stream of energy. But when you don't do those things, when you don't listen to any music, and when you don't dance, I don't know what happens to you. You would turn into a pretzel or some shit. I don't know. I don't know, but you would get dry.
Yeah.
It seems that you would get dry.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. Definitely. I think that you gotta move, yo. Like that's been my favorite thing, especially I say this summer. But also, no, I wouldn't even tie it to this summer. I always, of course, I'm not just, you know, going to any function and I'm just about to bust a move, but I feel the more comfortable I am, or the more joyful I am, or the more happy I am, the more space and room I have to dance. Versus, oh, I'm gonna just go in and dance and I'm gonna feel better. It's like, nah, like I just think it's a connection between our happiness and our joy, and expressing that through dance, and them doing a dance with each other. You know what I'm saying? To come out. You know, dancing is critical. Two-stepping is critical.
Yeah, that's where it started.
Two-stepping is critical, yo. Yeah. Jumping for joy is critical. Freestyling is critical. Thinking of even the, you know, I guess we refer to it now as like TikTok dancing. But when I think of, you know, prior to that, like, you know, at the school of dance, hitting Soulja Boy collectively, hitting the Cupid Shuffle, hitting, like just all these different things like came out of music. And I don't know what came first, music or dance. I guess that's my question. What came first, music or dance?
Because I think music came first, because music is just, to me, sound. Like right now we making music. That's my conclusion that I've come to at this point in my journey of making music, writing music, being surrounded by music and artists, you know, from all over the world. Like music is conversation even. Like there's a rhythm to all of this. You know what I mean? Like the way we saying it, whether we doing it intentionally or not, like we are on beat. Our heart beats. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that. We got vocal cords.
And that's it right there. The heartbeat. Music gotta come first.
Exactly, right?
That's the source.
You don't even know yet, but you dancing. That's for sure. Dancing, the heartbeat, internal organs. You got piano. That's the organ. Just like different things in your body, like these wind. Like we're instruments. You know what I mean? And if we don't tune ourselves, if we don't clear ourselves, if we don't get that get that life force pumping up through all those chakras, you know what I mean? Like if we don't get that up there, like there's a whole science to this shit, you know, so that we can operate, you know, optimally at our maximum, you know, capacity. So, you know, now that we talk about like that's the flow to me, then comes the structure behind it now, where you have music business and like music industry, the industry of music, you know, like it starts with a heartbeat, and then comes a dance, and then people, you know, getting together in community and enjoying themselves and doing that. But they all gotta eat. Everybody gotta eat. Everybody gotta live, pay for expenses. And in the society we live for now, it's like if you making you gotta do something. You gotta have some sort of work lined up. So that kind of changes. What would you say? Like, how does that change the landscape of music itself?
Yeah, I think we urgently need to remember and prioritize the importance of musicians, music period, specifically musicians though, and artists generally. I think that society, mainly because of capitalism, has just like evolved and erupted into this thing of like, if it's not producing something tangible that you can sell, then it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So it feels like, we're seeing a lot of the starving artists, some of the coldest artists ever, some artists that are critical, and we see them, one, not just making art and music, but also doing community work and being compensated for neither. And I think that that's backwards. I think that if we had a world, and I hope that I hope that we're getting there. I know that we're getting there. I know that we'll return to community. You know what I'm saying? Community where it's not about you getting paid from a check on Spotify, but what is everybody bringing, to the pot? Who's bringing, the produce and the fruit and the farm goods?
Yeah.
Who's cooking them? And then who's teaching the kids, how to both harvest and cook them? And who is in charge of the music that does the rituals that's necessary for that community to thrive? I think I really hope that we can return to a model where we're not only musicians and storytellers and painters and designers are valued, but are integral to a functioning society, because that's what we needed.
The guys only be talking about yourself, how much of a lover, how the women love them to death, how they can throw down, how good they can dance, how bad they are, nobody better not mess with me, and all of that kind of foolishness. If they were to address the issues being poverty, the issues being not having political power, you see what I'm saying? All of these issues, they should be addressing this with their energy.
The farther away we get from that collectively, the farther away from that source we are, the farther away from that heartbeat.
Yeah, we become individuals. We become more individual, which is like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm really big on that. I like to be by myself. Mm-hmm. I like that. Like I like that a lot. I need it, to recharge and all that stuff. So when it comes to being an individual, it's like, yeah, be an individual, but don't be under the illusion that you're doing all of this by yourself, mm-hmm. because that is just like impossible. Nobody's ever done it. Nobody's ever done anything. No human, no animal, no creature on this planet that we know of has ever done anything all by themselves. I'm from the East Coast. I'm from Maryland, from Baltimore.
Baltimore, Maryland.
And my stepfather, he's from the Bronx, and my mom and my dad, my biological parents, they both from Baltimore too. Okay. My stepmother's from the Caribbean. She's from the Virgin Islands. Okay. So at a young age, I was like, from her side, I almost got you a little bit.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
But from my stepmom's side, like I got exposed to reggae, calypso, and that was like the first time I was down there, and learning how to swim was a whole thing. My stepdad put me on to. My stepdad was the first person who really, really instilled in me that you can make money off of music. Mm. Because growing up in the 70s in the Bronx, when it was a thing that people just did, that was like, oh, you're doing that, but what you really doing? Because that's not going when people didn't even believe in the profitability of making music. Like, he saw it change. He saw Run DMC, LL Cool J, Tribe Called Quest, Busta Rhymes, like in New York, like that was the mecca. He saw it happen, and so people around him were having success in the music business. So he was like critical for me, because everybody else that I knew hadn't seen nothing like that. Motherfuckers know now, like, you could be a musician, you know what I mean? And not just like Elvis Presley or white country singers, like black people, melanated hip-hop artists, R&B artists, soul, neo-soul. We know that we can make money off of this. we also know a lot of people have gotten ripped off, and I would accredit that to a lack of knowledge, you know, or some sort of ignorance, you know. But now we're in the information age, so there's really not much of an excuse for things like this, because whatever you want to go learn, you could go learn it now. So as far as like technology affecting the music business, it's I mean, you used to have to go shop for records and shit. You used to have to go search for for a book. You used to have to go somewhere to get it. Like PDF files wasn't a thing and shit like that. So now everything is accessible.
Yeah.
Your favorite artist, you can find out what they did last night. You can go on their Instagrams, go on their live. I'll be looking at Lil Boosie. He funny as hell. He got hella kids. Like, I could go watch somebody's life on my camera at my house, thousands and thousands of miles away from them. So now it's like, we got access.
Access is the word. Access is the word. I think it's more, and maybe it always has, but it's bigger than the music now too, right? Like, now, one, I find so many artists that I don't think I would have found out otherwise, you know, from you know, the Spotify algorithm alone. Like, I can get put on to artists that only have, you know, a couple hundred or a couple thousand listens, but now I'm still tapped into them. Like, oh, this is amazing, but it wasn't because it was, you know, top 100 or because the mainstream put me on. So I appreciate that, and I also think, to your point of being able to see artists through social media, we're able to connect with artists more. Connect, which is, you know, a word that we could debate if that's the right word, but I don't know. I think that there's artists that I follow on Instagram, for example, where I may not even listen to their music for real. Their music may not be my type of music, but I rock with them as an artist. I rock with what they stand for. I rock with how they move. So it's different like levels of access, but also different levels of engagement with different artists now, which I rock with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a playground. It's actually highly entertaining.
Yeah, yeah, for real.
The social media thing is like highly entertaining. But you know, I do see behind the scenes, like, you know, with artists that I know, and people who wouldn't consider themselves artists, even though everybody is an artist. Like, they're on both sides. People are being affected by social media in this way where it makes you compare yourself. It doesn't make you do anything. It encourages you. You know what I mean? It programs you.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe program is the word.
It programs you. It conditions you to just be concerned with somebody else's life. You know what I mean? To feel less, like, you know, to feel less about yourself. It's not really too great for self-esteem. So I think when it comes to, you know, just the consumer, like, it's like it's like personally, it's just personally, like, fuck, like, I'm on this motherfucker all day, fuck. like I've been on this joint all day. For like the entrepreneur or a person with a brand, or, you know, starting a company or artist, the front man for that person, it's like, I know this is not what this is about, but this is the tool that I'm using. I see a lot of people who start like trying to use methods that they've seen already, because they're like, you know, I've seen this work before for somebody else.
Yeah.
I want this to work. I need this shit to work, like, now. You know, and that's another thing.
That's
like,
another way people getting paid. That's another way the artist lifestyle is getting sustained. It's not just relying on your streams and album sales. Like, you can, you know, if you're making content, or if you're doing a little cover on an IG reel or on TikTok, that's also a form of brand. That's just how people knowing you. That's how you building your brand and business up. Yeah, but I do agree. It's a toxic side of it, and it's one that I grapple with, because I'm an artist. I'm an entrepreneur, so I know how important it is to stay connected. You know, every time I pop out for a weekend, it's, you know, different. Oh, let's say tapped in. Let me get you on the gram. So I feel that not even urgency. It's necessary to stay connected with folks and to continue to exist digitally. I think that's something that is that I struggle with. Part of me is like, nah, like, I want you. You don't really know me unless we sitting right here, you know, in the park, face to face. That digital shit doesn't really matter. It's curated. It's not as real. But at the same time, it's still a reflection of us. Like, this is, technology is all around us. Like, things have gotten more digital. So I've been shifting my mindset in the hopes of having a healthier relationship with social media. I've been shifting my mindset of like, okay, how is this not this fake or like imposter version of myself, but how is this, how do I express in this realm? You know what I'm saying? What does this form of myself look like? The same way I have a different form, you know, with friendships versus romance versus if I'm alone in creating versus, I don't know, just different spaces, how different spaces bring different things out of you. Like, how am I just like existing differently in social, but not necessarily worse? How can I focus on what's good? Because there's pros and cons, but it is a slippery slope. I do look up and find I've been on that motherfucker.
Or you just click on that motherfucker where you didn't have a reason to click on it.
Didn't have a reason. That's literally, I delete the app sometimes and my thumb will just still go there. And I'm like, dang.
That's
like,
deep. That's deep.
Man.
That's definitely deep.
So it's a balance, bro. It's a balance. I think that it's necessary. I spent a lot of time like trying to get off social and dreaming about the day where I can, you know, where, you know, the art in the business is successful, so I don't need to be on social no more and I could just step back, you know, whenever. So always striving towards, okay, when can I get a flip phone and be completely off the grid? You ain't seeing me, but now my mindset's shifting because it's necessary. So, you know, I'm like, if it's, instead of me building negative associations about it's bad, I need to get off, or I'm on it too much, blah, blah, and being negative with it all the time. If it's going to be in our lives forever, which I honestly think it will, how can I just focus on the positive parts of it instead of running away from the negative?
That's real, man. I'm grateful for you and for people like you, for all my homies that's like very like knowledgeable when it comes to getting into tech. I'm not an old man, but I do be like, sometimes I be trying to catch up. I mean, I got the cameras and shit, but it's a lot of things that I don't, you know, that I'm not really that tapped in with. But I'm gonna be like the person that is like in the middle of nowhere type shit. And whenever motherfuckers need to like, you know, to get a break from all of that shit, like, I'll be the person that'll be like, yo, hit me up. I'm gonna have some horses, you know what I mean? Some
send a messenger pigeon. You want have my phone out there.
I'm gonna have the phone. Like, I ain't gonna like, you know, completely. I might completely like 20 years from now, but I mean, even when so music and technology, you know, there's a philosophy, there's a psychology, but there's also a science to that shit. There's certain music that I believe is just bad for me. You know, it's just bad for me. Like, I don't listen to Keef anymore, but I love Chief Keef music. Like, that just sounds amazing. But certain music is just bad for me. Certain, you know, technologies, certain proximities to technology is just like, I think it's all alchemy and chemistry. If I've been on it all day, I need to go a day without it. You know what I mean? I think it's just it's a balanced thing. But, you know, the science of the tech, it's like, you know, just having this phone on my lap right now, like, this is inhibiting, or, you know, it's decreasing my electromagnetic field. So there's like real shit that's happening like beyond like how we feel about it. But I think it's just about being conscious and aware and not turning your brain off and not trying not to think about how, you know what I mean, what it is, because it does like have a proven fact, you know what I mean? Like there is something is just not even a question. Like, so, you know, it's all in doses, you know, but gradually I'll be moving away, like gradually. Like that's why I got the flip, but I also got the
Was
iPhone.
that you got two different lines?
Yeah, so this is the
you texted me.
This is the flip that I called you off. This is the goddamn the tablet, the phone. Yeah. So when I get on Instagram and shit like that, when I use the apps, I hop on that joint. Okay. But whenever I need to call somebody, I get on this joint. Okay. And then that's it. Yeah, that's all that it is. So it's like a way to separate those things. So I know, like, I'm on some bullshit right now. Like, or I'm having a good time.
Right. And I think it's good to set those boundaries, bro. And I think that those boundaries change. And I think that's the most important part. That's what changed my perspective with social media. But I also reflect on that with weed, even with music. I think that we have a relationship with the things in our lives the same way we have relationships with people in our lives. And to sustain relationships with people, we have to revisit them. We have to talk and feel through them and work through them. And, of course, some friendships and relationships come organically, but they're still reassessed. The dynamics change. They have their ups and downs. And I think with physical things, sometimes we don't look at them in that same way. Your relationship with social change. If I'm down bad or, seasonal depression is real. So in the winter months, I have to be more focused about being on social media because sometimes I am just getting pulled in the crib. It's cold outside, and I'm just scrolling to scroll.
You're not getting that vitamin D like
you feel
this,
me? But in the summer, then it's more events and stuff happen. I meet more people, so I'm connecting with more people, or, it's just a different way that it's impacting me. So by constantly reassessing my relationship and being like, all right, what am I really on? What do I need? And that may happen every couple months, but ideally, I'm getting to a place where it's happening every moment. Or, and maybe I'm at a place now where it happens every day, but just constantly stepping back and be like, all right, today, this needs to be my relationship with social. And the same thing goes for for smoking. Like, sometimes weed is what I need. Like, I love it. I can love it socially, or it helps me create, you know what I'm saying? And then sometimes I'm using it to, like, escape or to run away from my thoughts. You know what I'm saying? But when I check in with myself first and I'm like, all right, why do I want to smoke right now? What am I really smoking for? Oh, okay, it's because I'm about to celebrate having a good day. Then bet, that's cool. Or
because I'm bored.
I'm bored, or I'm trying to smoke, and I'm having a bad day, and then smoke, and then still have a bad day.
Or I'm like having trouble processing some.
Yeah, and smoke just to let me just smoke, and it doesn't actually help because I didn't discern what to hope. And then that goes to music too. Sometimes I just be burning through music, listening to hella music, just constantly looking for new music, and I have to take breaks sometimes. I have to step back, hold on, let me reset what I'm listening to. You dropped that electromagnetic in there, I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, bro. Because, bro, I love, I love learning about this stuff. I like experiencing things. I've even been accused of, living for the experience. I like to travel around the world. I like to see different things. I like to challenge my beliefs. I'm very religious, right? And I'll say spiritual too, but I say religious because my religion is my own personal religion. You know what I mean? I'm not married to these ideas forever, but if I find something that's, good, I'm going to grab it and I'm going to stand on it. You know what I mean? If I think this shit that grows from the ground is what we need, I'm going to respect it, and I'm not moving off of that.
Yeah.
So certain things, but that's why I get into the science of it, because you got belief, you got faith and spirituality, and then you got science. So that's why I'm thinking about the electromagnetic field. That's why I'm thinking about hormones, how they're being changed. That's why I really am intrigued when I hear about somebody just having a panic attack, and their body starts changing. Their body turns on them, but they don't want to have that experience. But their body is now flushing a whole bunch of chemicals, a whole bunch of stress hormones into their system. Their nervous system is being affected heavily. Their amygdala in their brain is like an alarm going off, sending out like like Paul Revere, like the British are here, the British are causing panic. So your body has reactions to these things, whether you like it or not. We didn't choose to have electromagnetic fields or hormones or nothing. This is just what we was given. But I also am an idealist. I believe in the human design is I feel we have everything that we need.
Everything. I
think everything that we need, we have. You know what I mean? Arm, leg, arm, head. So I don't believe in death. I think death is man-made. I think we introduced that to the world as humans. It's certain things I think I'm gonna live forever. You know what I mean? I think we could live forever. I think some people could die. But I think that would just come from living in a way that we weren't created to live.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like disrespecting the earth, you know what I mean? Disrespecting yourself, poisoning yourself, you know what I mean? Toxic relationships, toxic foods. So yeah, we got to the music, you know what I mean? The sensations, you know, we got to the tech, the things that we utilize, and we got to like, how do these things affect us as people? You know, whether you think it's good or you think it's bad, like, we got to come up with solutions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we could sit here all day and talk about, man, they ain't did this down the street. They don't be fixing these streets, and like they don't be doing this, and like we could complain about shit all day.
Yeah, easily.
But what are we gonna? How do we solve these things? So how do you? Like, I know you touched on this a little bit, but I'll ask you again too. Like, how do you go about like solving these issues, and how do you use these things like to your advantage? You know what I mean? How do you make this stuff, this tech, this music, how do you make it work for you?
Definitely. You touched on a lot there, man. I think immediately there needs to be, one, the answer to everything for me is always community. I think community is a synonym for love. But when I think about, again, going back to what you asked early on about the, you know, how do we make sure artists are good? Like, how do we make sure that, you know, I think you said you got to eat, right? Like, you didn't say you got to make your money. You said you got to eat.
Yeah.
How can we have,
yeah.
how can we have more, how can we identify the needs that people have, right? Like, we equate a lot. I need money so that I can eat. I need money for my shelter. I need money for my, you know, health services. But what does it look like to reframe that to say, I need to eat, I need health services, like I need shelter, and then recognize, what else do you need? What else do we absolutely need? Music. What else do we absolutely need? Community. Even if you know, as an individual, you need your alone time. Everybody does. Everybody needs their own space, and, you know, in different degrees, but people need people. So I think if we can shift our mindsets to really truly focus on what we need, not what we think we need to then get to what we need, that can solve a lot of our issues. You know what I'm saying? If it was a small little community of us, and it wasn't about money, wasn't what drove us exchanging resources, I just think things will look a lot differently. I think that, and maybe that's idealistic, because I don't know when we'll be able to get to this model where capitalism isn't running game on niggas, but I don't know. I truly, when I think of my, you know, Afro-future imaginations of what the future could and should be, I genuinely do think that I'm providing a service to my community, and you're pulling up and you are leading dialogue and storytelling and performing your music for the entire community, and everybody gets something from that, and then more people are just contributing to this pot in which we're sharing. Like
Yeah.
that, the individualism, I think, is the same thing that came with us thinking that, you know, death is a thing, or thinking that, you know, we're alone, or thinking that I mean, it goes back to ancestry too. And this may be a tangent, but nothing is ever created or destroyed. Nothing. That's the what is it? The law of thermodynamics.
Yeah, energy is.
Yeah, energy is always
transferred.
Now, whether that energy is like pure or not, that's different, right? Whether that energy is clear, whether I feel like my energy is like my best energy, but I'm not having, you know, necessarily, I'm not existing as like less or more. It's about like how that energy is existing. And I think that, yeah, once my energy's always gonna be here, even if my like earthly body isn't, my energy's always gonna be present, and my ancestors' energy is present within me.
Yeah.
And it may be, you know, I think of my papa. My middle name is Cornelius. His first name is Cornelius. And I'm just like, I've learned so much from him through my life. And then also, you know, when he passed away, that's when I started to pay attention to more to the way in which like he existed through me, but also where else does his energy exist? It's a rose bush in the front of my mama crib that he planted. And it's just been bussing every summer. No tending
That's
to
crazy.
it, no clipping, no fertilizer, but just bussing every year. You know, like his hands planted that, his energy transferred into that, and it remains today. And it remains in my middle name, and it remains in my writing, you know, signing something with Cornelius. So when my descendants see it, or when my descendants, you know, when our descendants watch this video, our energy will then flow onto them, and they'll have that other, you know, bit and piece of knowledge. So so I guess that steers away from the solution, but that definitely touches on that spiritual tip, man.
Hell yeah, I like what you said, bro. Like, the idea that we are alone is not even it's not even really a divine. It's not a divine concept.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that, the idea of a lot of things that we think and that we feel are not. They're just not. They're not us. You know, they tell you your thoughts. You're not your thoughts. You know what I mean? But people feel alone. People feel isolated. People feel like, you know, like death is near. You know what I mean? And I think if you really think about it, like I overdosed when I was 19, right? That was 6 years ago. Slowly but gradually, I just shifted everything. You know what I mean? The people I'm around, the music I'm listening to, the things I'm doing, like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? And that's what that project, I Died in My Sleep, is about. That's what that whole...
I didn't know that background story, bro.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like, I'm in the crib, my dad find me, I'm foaming at the mouth. They come in there, they pump me with the Narcan, they bring me back to life. I'm in the other realm. I'm on the other side having a real experience over there that I will never ever forget, which gave me the fuel that I needed to like keep going in this direction that I've been going in. But when we talk about like death, like what is death? Like when I think about it, I was speaking death on myself before that happened. I had a song called Ready to Die. I had a bunch of music that was just crazy.
See, so many artists referencing their own demise.
Biggie, Ready to Die. You know, Tupac. Like everybody, we talk about death, we speak it, but it's not even just the music. It's because music is one form of energy, but it's in the food that we eat. It's in the people that we surround ourselves. It's in the things that we allow into our psyche. You know what I mean? So, death, I think, is only real because we create it, we make it, you know what I mean? We speak it on ourselves, we curse ourselves, we curse other people, you know what I mean? Fuck that bitch, fuck this hoe. I heard a song, I don't know what the Baby song this is, I think it's that Spot 'em Got 'em remix or some shit. I was walking to the crib, they be blasting music, he said, some, a nigga won't die, he gonna die, da da da, but it's just like, we talk about killing each other, and then we dance to it, and we sing it, and then we eat this food that's not real, it's processed, you know what I mean? We kill animals, and then we eat that. The animals know that they're dying. The animals like, damn, my homie was just here, he disappeared. All my homies keep disappearing, they know something is off. They're stressed out, they're going crazy in there, and we're eating it, we're putting that in our body. So whether it's music, or it's food, or it's just, you know, certain types of people, death is just the energy that is like depleting yours. It's just something that you take in that is going to take away from you and not give to you. It's not feeding you. It's actually taking away. But there is like sometimes this shit feels powerful. Drugs, you know what I mean? It's powerful. That music, if I'm listening to some G Herbo or some Keef or some Kodak, like, and I'm on a train, like, that is the worst time to get into a physical altercation with me, because I'm already in that space. I'm in that space already. Like, I'm already thinking, so like, I
want to run up. Now, if I'm in the park and I'm watching the sunrise, you know, then I may be, you know, a lick, but don't catch me listening to Herb on the train.
But that shit really does. That shit affects you in a crazy way. A lot of times we just don't think about that, you know, like, I know we gonna be good. Like, you know, we here right now. Yeah. But like, it's a lot of people that I care about, you know what I mean, that are not thinking with that same like level of consciousness, they're just taking this stuff in and they're not really thinking about it. They want to enjoy it, you know what I mean? And it really does hurt you. It hurts you. It's this hood shorty that I used to be fucking with and shit. She used to be bringing all types of snacks to my crib, all types of crazy food. She was trying to get me to eat chips and cheese and nachos and shit. I'm like, come on, man. And I'll damn near do it just to say I did that shit, but that shit
we
crazy.
Gotta have for the one time. You gotta have some fries with the nacho cheese.
It should be listening to like killer music. You know, bringing in like those types of foods and weird snacks, calypso drinks and shit like that, kiwi mystics, and you know, the hood delicacies. The hood delicacies. So, but I could see like the energy followed her that came with it. She would get a call and somebody would be in trouble, or like, you know, like somebody maybe in her family, something would happen to them. Like it would always be some drama, some sort of the energy of chaos would follow her. You know, and she raw as hell. Like, you know, shout out to her. Like, you know, she's a very intuitive, intellectual, very spiritual like person. You know what I mean? But these things like the food and the music, like they help us to shape our reality. Our body is a vehicle that we could use to achieve our destiny. You know.
Yeah.
Like that's why I say the human design, I'm an idealist. Like, so you mean to tell me if I just eat the right food, I'll be thinking correctly? That means that I'll feel better. That means that I'll have more energy. You know, that means that the law of attraction, which says that, you know, what the energy that you put out comes back to you, that means that will work in my favor.
Yeah.
So it's like, we got all the tools that we need, but it's a lot of poison out here that is just like thriving. The poison is thriving. It's like it's on the radio, it's on the shelf in every store, and some people just they in other situations, you know what I mean, financially, you know, at home, whatever it is, and they like, man, I got other shit I'm dealing with. Like, let me just get in the store, get what I came out with, turn the music on, whatever, I'm going to work. Like, I'm just not trying to think right now.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you said that really is spinning in my head is around specifically the music and the killer music, and like, I don't know, and how we're also talking about death isn't a bad thing, and death isn't negative, and I do think, you know, it's more like Western thought of saying death is bad, and we fear death, and we don't want our loved ones to die, and we just have this like anxiety around death all the time. But I think that when you're talking about the killer driller music, when you're talking about some of those things that we connect to death or someone dying, I don't think that's necessarily death existing in those moments. You know what I'm saying? Specifically on a music tip. If it's a track and it's like, yeah, I'm about to go find it, right, and kill that nigga, like, woo woo. I don't think that that's necessarily death. I think that's a disrespect of life. And I think that, of course, no one wants to die. I'm not like, no, we need to embrace death, let's all die right now. Like, I'm not saying that at all, but I do think that when life is here, it should be cherished, and when it is not, that should be honored. But we shouldn't, and there shouldn't be an urge for that death to come. Like, it should be something that when it happens, and if somebody does pass from unfortunate circumstances, that's very unfortunate. But I think that specifically on the music tip, on the culture tip, on the violence tip, the problem isn't death. The problem is disrespecting life. Because my perspective shift around death, again, you know, I had my other grandfather passed away, and I was just rapping with one of my homies, and this stuck with me. This is like a pillar of my religious and spiritual foundation now. Of, you know, my grandpa, when he passed, was very much so an elder. You know, he was having health issues, things like that. So, you know, when I would see him, it's like, hey, granddaddy, like, what's good? You know, how you doing? Like, you know, just small talk. I wasn't like, hey, I'm working on this, or what you think of this art project, or blah, blah, blah. And, you know, regardless whether he was sick or whether he was, you know, where he wasn't, but still like an elder, I'm realizing, you know, elders know so much and they're so wise, but they don't they don't get everything that we're doing or talking about. You know what I'm saying? I would say, you know, if we had some of our elders right now in this conversation, they'd be like, what is these young niggas talking about? Like, y'all just making stuff up. Y'all just saying whatever. And when an elder turns into an ancestor, they're able to communicate and connect with us in a way that is beyond that language barrier, is beyond that conversational barrier. You know what I'm saying? When I'm writing something, or when I'm working on a business concept, my elders, my ancestors rather, are able to send me messages even more directly, or I'm able to call on them for guidance for something that maybe when they were, you know, physically here, I would not have been able to call on them for guidance for, because they may not have had, you know, that language to understand what I was asking, or to give me an answer that I think would be most helpful. Now, and a lot of times they would have been like, boy, it's not that serious, you know, go have a meal, which is also profound. But you feel me? Like, it's a, you know, it's a step after death, and I don't know what that looks and feels like. You said you've gotten close to it, and it seemed like that inspired you, you know, musically and creatively. So I think my ancestors up there in the spirit world. I don't think it's over. I don't think I'm not like, all right, now I want all my family and my parents to join their ranks, so I just have as many ancestors as possible. But yeah, on the music tip, I think that we need to do a better job of respecting life and honoring death, as opposed to disrespecting life and continuing to have this thing around death is negative, because it's not. You know, we want to live long, healthy lives, and then we want to pass when it's our time.
I mean, it's definitely, no, for sure. The whole, for me, I would just say that it is death. Like, because I know from making shit like that, what happens to you. Like, what happens to you when you make shit like that? You know what I mean? When you make something about somebody that, you know, saying that you're gonna kill them, you want to kill them. When I see you, I'm going to kill you. Yeah. You're going to have to kill me. Like, I think, you know, for us, like, melanated folks, you know, everybody has melanin, but we're highly melanated. Yeah. We absorb information at a faster rate than everybody else. Anybody with lower pigmentation, we absorb information and energy at a way, way higher rate. So consciously, when we in our psyche, when we hear somebody that we believe was, or knows a murderer talking murder on another person that also exists, we believe that, and we like, oh damn, it's finna be some shit. Like, they finna get on that. They finna get on bullshit.
And we create that happen, and we manifest it.
People slide on you, like with JoJo. Like, he was just down the street from here. Like, they both rap. They're rappers. You know what I mean? They both made music. Like, and it's like, he drew that energy to himself. Like, you gonna slide, just slide. What people do, they slide on you. So I think for people who don't live in that world, for people who aren't in the world like me, I don't gotta worry about shit. I don't gotta look over my back no more, none of that shit. Like, I don't put myself around people who got street beef and all this shit. For us, not being in that world, it's not as detrimental, because we could just pull out of it and live in the reality that we have. But for people who in the trap, you know what I mean? People who you know, selling drugs, you know what I mean? For people who are getting shot at, you know what I mean? On a daily basis, or a weekly basis, or a monthly basis. People who are stealing cars and going on joy rides, like, they're in the field of death more. You know what I mean? Like, they're actively in that portal more than we are. We in a life portal right now. We out here sitting in the sun in the middle of the grass with the pond. Right. It's a bunch of ducks.
I just pick some.
You know?
Yeah, like,
but for people that's like
ducks for real.
For people, like, when I go back home, like, I know a lot of people that are in these situations, you know what I mean? So I think, like, it's not like, you know, hearing somebody say that shit on wax, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like somebody might not immediately get killed, you know what I mean? But it is energy. And I think people are dying like every second, minute, whatever it would be. So it's just a matter of how that energy transfers over. But I know like that music was affecting me in a way like where I thought about it. I thought about killing people. I thought about people trying to kill me. I thought about it more, and I prepared for it, and I prepped my mind to be ready to take somebody's life, like to have my life be taken, because like that's what I was listening to.
Yeah.
But I think like, you know, when it comes to the Western constructs or concepts, and like just thinking from it from a different perspective, like I like what you said about just, you know, people just having this, people being so scared of death, you know what I mean? And I know I say like death is a man-made thing, it's not real. The way I think about it is transitioning, you know what I mean? I think of resurrection, I think of reincarnation. That's the words that I think when I think about leaving this body, you know. But shit, what was I saying? The Western constructs, like, oh, so thinking about death in a different way, and just not, you know, thinking about it in the way that it was taught to us is what we need to do. But we could even break it down to this: what is love? What is love? You know what I mean? Love is definitely not like love is definitely not. I knew the perk was fake. I still like death is not like fuck this bitch, fuck this hoe, like fuck these niggas, we gonna slide on y'all, like we think you playing, like you know what I mean? Like love, that is like all that shit is the opposite of love. So whether it's death, and death is something that's definitive or negative, like if it's the opposite of love, I'm just going, you know, what's it called when you go to war with something? Like you call it war, you like you basically call somebody out. But all that shit, anything that's not love, like I'm just basically calling that shit out, like that is not it. That is actually like wrong. You know what I mean? Is evil. You know what I mean? And we have the capacity for evil. We got light and dark sides. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
So you can't just eliminate your dark side. That's not what I'm saying. But when we start using these words and speaking in these languages and cursing ourselves and cursing our brothers and sisters, like I think that is probably one of the strongest weapons that we have. Yeah. We just can't see it, you know.
And it's a choice. We choose the love we want to put out in the world, choose to love ourselves. And I think that I think that while it is a choice, not everybody has access to that choice. You know what I'm saying? I think that when you talk about access to food, access to, you know, safety, access to community, like when you lose access to that, which a lot of our brothers and sisters have lost access to, that's when that negativity comes out. So I do think it's just that much more urgent for the people that do know love, or know love in a way in which they know love, because that may be different from us or what we think love is. We got to pour it out into the world as much as possible, because a lot of, you know, there's gaps. We all got gaps in the love that we need and deserve, and the love that we actually have. And there could always be more, and love is infinite. And I think about love and death and the relationship with love and death. I'm a big Marvel fan. And Vision is one of the heroes, and he's just like, this nigga's a poet with it. And one of my favorite lines is about mourning, and it's about grief. And what he says is basically, what is grief if not love persevering? You know what I'm saying? If not your love for that one that you lost, still persisting on, even though they aren't here, it's still just as strong, just as evident, even more visceral than what it was, you know, when they were right here sitting across from you. So I think that's also one of those elements of energy not being created or destroyed either, the way our physical bodies can, because our love for others and our love for ourselves will never die, and it's always genuinely and focused on the energy of that person, even though they may not be there right now or no more. If that love still exists, and so does the energy they had when they were here, because those things are intertwined. You know, that's that give and take. That's that life and love. It's a construct that we need. Love is attached to a form of life, and if that love can persist, that life must be as well.
Hell yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, it's really about like this whole conversation is about giving people the tools. You know what I mean? And the people that need the tools. You know what I mean? People who are, whether you want to, you know, alter the music that you're listening to, or the food that you're eating, or you know, the people that you're around. You know, like you can. These are different things that you can use to shape your reality, to get out of, you know, to get out of debt, to get out the hood, to, you know what I mean, to get out of a scarcity mindset, you know, to get out of survival mode, which is like you're an animal at that point. You're not even operating at your highest, you know what I mean? Like your highest, your heart, your throat, your crown. But like I want people to have the tools because shit, man, like it's here, it's free. You know, all of it's free. So whether, you know, whatever it is, like when it comes to the foods, you know what I mean? Like fruits and vegetables, like I'm just gonna say that. Fruits and vegetables, you get all your protein from plants, you know what I mean? Like all protein comes from plants. All animals get their protein from plants. In the ocean it's algae, on the ground it's grass, and you know what I mean? All types of vegetables and things that grow from the ground. Anything else is a compromise. So I'll say that with the food, with the music, somebody speaking deaf, or somebody speaking, I'm finna fuck on this nigga and take his money and go to be city girl talk, some pimp talk, some killer talk, some drill talk. All that shit is going to compromise your integrity. It's going to compromise your energy. It's going to bring you lower, and we want to be vibrating high.
Yeah.
You know, so that's really what it comes down to. We can't just flip a switch and just, you know, go cold turkey on all this shit at once. But we could definitely start to make decisions, and little by little, like I promise you, like that shit changes your life. It changes your life. You know, I don't even really listen to music as often as I used to, and I am in way more peace than I was before, when I was always listening to something. You know what I mean?
Quiet is a blessing.
You need that shit. You
Need
need that, because this right now, the birds are singing. You know what I mean? Like it's music out here already. So, you know, over stimulating yourself with all of these things, it's only going to make you confused. It's only going to cause disorder and disarray. The foods that you have in your body that gets stuck in there, you know what I mean? They start to erode. They start to waste away inside of you, and then it turns into a tumor, or it turns into, you know, whatever, some sort of condition, a disease. So all of these things, like, we have so many tools, and then just people, you know what I mean? Like, just you, like, here right now, sharing your energy with me, like, just being here, being present, you know, you speaking on your experiences and, like, where you coming from, like, that is also medicine for us. So now if you were somebody that just came from a shootout, or from some I don't know, just some crazy place where it was a bunch of crazy shit going on, some club, like some late night club where motherfuckers just be drunk as hell, like
It'd be different.
it would be a way totally different thing.
And I'd be here like, I'd be like, dang, I wouldn't be able to stop talking about it. I'd be tense up, still looking, you know, it's
your
like
body would be on some whole other, you be on some whole other shit. So when we
yeah.
So when I think about the people that I surround myself with, if I know somebody that's listening to crazy music, eating crazy food with a bunch of crazy people, you know what I mean, who are like not, you know, on the track to what they really want for themselves, you know, or not even looking for it, but just, you know, focused on staying busy, having fun, or, you know, I don't spend much time around those people. And some of them are my friends, you know what I mean? Like some of these people are really my friends, you know, and like we all started somewhere, but I really make sure that I don't, when I am around them, like, I can't be around them for too long.
Yep. Because, and I think that's preserving love, both love for yourself and your comfort, but also it takes love to know that, like, all right, if I see you and we link and we chop it up for 30 and have a good conversation and catch up and then go about our separate ways, I'm able to love you in that moment, like, fully. Versus, all right, now we kicking it for 3 hours and I'm starting to get annoyed, or we got to disconnect, or you got to do something, then it's not feeling right. That's less love in that moment. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I don't think we need to. I don't think that's any less love. I think it's more love to discern how much time and energy you need to put into and around somebody.
Harmony
for real. Because I could get irritated and mad, and then don't want to talk to you at all, or I'm burnt out by you, and then, like, now I have less capacity to give you love in the way in which it actually feels good and flows. So stepping back is an act of love, I think. Leaning back, falling back. In some cases, you know, when somebody has to cut somebody off, that's an act of love too, depending on where they are in their journeys and in their healing processes and in their relationship. Like, there's just so many different ways to love as well. And I think when we're consuming a lot and not really exploring what that means at an individual level, we can lose sight of the ways in which we are supposed to, or in the ways in which we love best. You know, versus, so when you say what is love, like, my answer and your answer can't be the same. And music may say love is this thing, and that may be a data point, but we got to find that out individually.
Yeah, no, definitely. You know what I mean? Definitely got to find that out. So, and it's like sometimes people don't really know what they want. Mm-hmm. They don't know, like, and don't
look inward to find it out. That's like,
yeah, you're not gonna find it. You're not gonna find it outside of yourself. So, like, anything that makes you feel fulfillment and it doesn't fade. You know what I mean? A deep sense of gratitude, whether it could be being outside, whether you like playing basketball, whether you like making music, or you like making jewelry, or you like entrepreneurism, you like to learn, whatever it is that makes you feel fulfilled. Keep that. Build on that. Don't let that go, because that is an essential piece of the puzzle that is going to, you know, come together to shape the love of your life, you know? So you're not going to find all the answers at one time. You know what I mean? Just keep whatever it is, like, if it's one thing, just keep doing that, and then more of those pieces are going to come.
And questions are more important than the answers, for real.
Damn, yeah.
That's what I'm on.
That's a good, because when you ask the question, like, why is this question so important?
Yeah, I don't want to find out the answers. I want to just make sure every day there's a new question. Because then I know, okay, you know, I'm building on top of, you know what I'm saying, the knowledge that I have. I'm building on top of what I know to be true. You know, and the answers will change constantly, but questions are kind of constant. And I can come back to the same question every single day and have a different answer.